Well, good morning. Yes, it's me, Kenny Polcari, your host of the party, and today is Friday, August 23rd, 2024. And yes, it is a gorgeous day here in South Florida. Blue skies, there's a nice breeze, although the weekend is supposed to be a little bit rainy, but whatever. You can hear the guys cutting the lawn over there. It is what it is. I can't help that. And so here we go. What is it that you need to know to get your day started? Well, by now you must realize it is Jackson Hole Day. But do not expect this jumbo announcement coming out of ＪJ. Next week, it's going to be all about Nvidia. And Cammie, well, she accepts her party's nomination last night. We'll talk about that in a minute. And Labor Day is coming, and so is the market weakness. And what we have for dinner tonight, we're going to have the sea bass. Now, stocks pulled back yesterday ahead of JJ's speech as investors brace for a reality check in aisle 5. Fed Governor Chrissy Wally kicks it off today at 9:15, and then JJ enters stage left and takes his place at the podium right in center stage at 10 a.m. this morning, set to give what some are describing as the most important speech of his tenure as Fed chair. Investors that are expecting this jumbo move are sure to be disappointed, as Fed officials signaled that the continued slow, methodical approach is appropriate. But my readers, they shouldn't be surprised. This is exactly what we've been discussing. Like long-term investing, it is slow and steady that wins the race. Now, we learned that as a child when mom or dad read us the famous Aesop fable, right? The tortoise and the hare. Surely, you don't need me to recap what that was all about, do you? Because if you do, just Google it. Anyway, yesterday the Dow lost 177 points. The SP gave up 50. The NASDAQ lost 300. The Russell down 20. The transports gave back 105. And the equal-weighted S&P lost 22 points. The tech mega caps leading the way lower yesterday. Remember, yesterday we discussed how traders and algos had taken stocks right back up to the overbought trend line near the all-time highs. This after that two-week decline from July 15th to August 5th that saw the S&P trade down about 9.5%. The NASDAQ down even more, nearly testing the long-term trend line at 5,015. The low on August 5th was 51.16, a level that many of us think is going to be tested again in the not-so-distant future. Now, look, while I think that the market is going to back off after JJ's speech, because what he says is already what the market expects. There's not going to be any surprises. But that may only be a short move for now. Why? Well, because next week, guess what? August 28th, to be exact, brings us another key event. And you know what it is. Can you say Nvidia earnings? They're due out at 4:20 p.m. Next week on August 28th. Expectations for CEO Jensen Huang to report 65 cents a share, while revenue is expected to be $28.5 billion in the quarter. To be clear, that's just 3 months. And if that's the case, it would be a 111% increase year over year. Now, I, like many, expect them just to destroy it. And I'm using that negative word as a positive here. And then to continue to tell us how we are just at the very early stages of this AI revolution, which we are. Nervous traders and algos that took the stock down, took Nvidia down 35% between mid-June and early August. And now those same traders have taken it right back up, 44% to end the day yesterday at 123.75. What the next move is anyone's guess. All I know is that I never wavered, and neither did my readers. Nvidia is just one of those names that should be part of everyone's portfolio, but we can discuss that later. Next week also brings us a host of eco data, right? Durable goods, Richmond and Dallas Fed surveys, the first revision to second quarter GDP. We're going to get retail inventories, pending home sales, personal income, personal spending. But the one that will keep everyone's attention, at least everyone that's at their desk, besides Nvidia, is going to be the July PCE price index report. That is the Fed's favorite inflation gauge, and it is expected to show an increase of up 0.2% month over month and up 2.6% year over year, while the core rate is up 0.2 month over month and 2.7% year over year. Now, while they're in line with the expectations, there would be about 0.1% increase over last month's read. But remember, it's the end of August. Volumes, especially next week, are expected to be even lower. Thus, the moves are going to be exaggerated in either direction. And then we have Labor Day, and then the summer's over, and everyone is back to school and back to their desks. And that, my friends, is when I think we're going to see the market decline, right? To shake the branches a little bit to see who falls out. Long-term investors should use any pullback as an opportunity to buy stocks that go on sale. And that doesn't mean buy them when they're down 3 or 4%. It means let them come in. Down 10 or 15% is a nice entry point to start your shopping spree. But you should always have that shopping spree ready to go. Have that list ready. Bond prices now fell yesterday, sending yields up just a tiny bit. 10-year yields are now at 3.86%. The 2 years now yielding exactly 4%. Government money market funds are still paying you close to 5%. Oil is down 11% from the July high. We tested a low of 72.20 in early August. We rallied back to 78.50 in mid-August and then tested 72 again only 3 days ago, where it appears that there is some support. This morning oil is up 80 cents at 73.85. This has an expected surplus is set to hit the market in the fourth quarter. If OPEC Plus goes ahead with their plan to increase output in October, which would send prices lower, and again, that's something the kingdom does not want to see. Remember, geopolitical concerns in the Mideast and in Russia, Ukraine also continue to cause supply concerns, but as of now, that hasn't really resulted in any major disruptions nor any major price increases. My sense is that oil's in the $72, $78 range for now. Gold, nothing new there. It continues to trade in the broader 2,500, 2,600 trading range. Yesterday, it traded as low as 25.07 before ending the day at 25.20. This morning, it's up $16 at 25.36. All this as gold traders prepare for JJ's speech. U.S. futures this morning are surging higher ahead of Jackson Hole. Dow futures up 180, S&P's up 35, NASDAQ up 170, Russell's up 13. Traders and algos are expecting something different. They are expecting JJ to define the plan. Something that I'm telling you he is not going to do. But look, it is what it is. Enjoy the ride. You are invested. It's all good. Just don't get drawn into this FOMO trade like, oh my God, stocks are never coming in again. I have to jump in. If you're invested, you are not missing out. Keep your cash liquid, earning 5% in the government money market fund, ready to pounce when the pullback occurs. European markets are all higher this morning as well, up about 0.7% across the board, ahead of all the speeches today. Investors there, like here, are expected to hear a lot about monetary policy and interest rates and how that's going to impact both the ECB and the Bank of England. The S&P closed at 55.70, down 50 points yesterday. The focus today remains, as we've been saying, squarely on JJ. Next week, it's all about Nvidia and the PC report. So sit back, grab the popcorn. Now, last night we saw Cammie accept her party's nomination. She gave a rousing speech. But what did she really say? She spoke as if Donnie's the incumbent and that she's running against him as an incumbent. In fact, she's running against JoJo, trying to distance herself from his administration. Although, let's see how successful that's going to be. She didn't talk very much about international policy. She didn't talk about China, Russia, or Iran. She didn't talk about her 25% tax on unrealized gains, which is a key part of her plan, apparently. And you need to be sure that you understand what that means and how it's going to affect you year in and year out. She didn't talk about raising corporate taxes. She didn't talk about the border, but she did tell us that she's going to cut taxes on the middle class. She's going to create an opportunity economy for everyone. Okay, great. I'm just hoping we find out what that is before we're all expected to vote. And don't forget, early voting begins in 3 weeks. I mean, if you live in Pennsylvania, you can vote as soon as September 16th. If you live in Minnesota or Virginia, you can cast your ballot as soon as September 20th. Anyway, if all this makes you crazy, give me a call to discuss, because I'm always happy to talk about it. 212-381-6194. Okay, so what are we having for dinner tonight? We're having the roasted sea bass in a Marsala wine sauce. Now, sea bass is a fish that you're going to find in the cold waters of the Southern Atlantic, Pacific, and other southern oceans, right? Think like Indian Ocean. It feeds mostly on squid, shrimps, and other small fish, and for itself, it is the delight of whales, elephant seals, and octopus. It's a white, flaky fish that's easy to prepare and can be combined with many ingredients to make the perfect presentation. Today's dish is a roasted sea bass on a bed of onions and mushrooms. It looks beautiful, and it's just delicious. Now, for this, you're going to need a pound of sea bass. You need olive oil, butter, onions, Marsala wine, fresh wild mushrooms, chicken stock, salt and pepper, and chopped parsley for color right there at the end. You want to prepare by chopping the onion, slicing the mushrooms, chopping the parsley, have all the other ingredients out on the counter to ease the process of creating this dish. This way, you're not looking for everything. Everything is there. You know exactly where it is. You want to start by preheating your oven to 450 degrees. Do not put the fish in the oven until the oven has preheated to the proper temperature. Actually, don't do that with anything. When you preheat your oven, you want to make sure it's at the temperature before you put stuff in there. Now, in a saute pan, heat the olive oil and the chopped onion. Cook it until it's soft and translucent. Turn the heat to high and make the pan really, really hot. Then remove the pan from the heat, deglaze it with a 1/4 cup or so of Marsala wine. Now, you can use white wine if you prefer, but then you're going to get a very distinctly different flavor. And just FYI, I say remove the pan from the heat, especially if you're using a flame, because if you use Marsala wine, the flame can easily ignite the wine and singe your face, right? Regular wine, that won't happen, so no worries, but you should just remove it from the heat while you add it. When the wine is cooked off and the sliced mushrooms are about, add the sliced mushrooms and a teaspoon of butter. Reduce the heat to medium and cook it until they're all nice and tender. Now add the chicken stock, maybe a 1/2 cup or so, then season it with salt and pepper. Let it cool down, just so it thickens a bit. In another saute pan, heat up a bit more of olive oil, season the sea bass with salt and pepper, and add it to the pan skin side down for about 5 minutes. Then you want to flip it over. You want the skin to be crispy, right? Then you want to flip it over and cook it for about another minute or so. Then you're going to transfer it to the baking dish, putting the skin side down, put it in the preheated oven and roast it for another 4 to 5 minutes. Warm the serving dishes, and then you're going to place a bed of this onion mushroom mixture on the plate, and then you're going to top it with the pan roasted filet sea bass, right? Adorn this, then take the chopped parsley and sprinkle it all over, and it looks really delicious. You can serve this dish with herb, garlic, wild rice, and sauteed green beans. Complement it with a chilled bottle of your favorite verdicchio, right? Light the candles, turn down the lights, and you are off to the races. She'll be like putty in your hands. In any event, buon appetito, and until Monday, take good care.